Hey everybody, my name is Victoria Johnson, and this is my action research presentation. Okay, so in chapter one was the overview of the action research project. So this is based off of seventh grade math students in southeastern Alabama. This is a middle school in my district. The middle school has about 1,044 students. The majority of them, and we're talking about 90% of them, are economically disadvantaged. So, this is a systemic issue when it comes to a lack of fluency, but we are focused on seventh grade here. And so, the lack of math fact fluency is impacting problem solving and overall math skills. And this can be seen district wide, this can be seen in all grades, but like previously mentioned, we just have an emphasis in seventh grade here. So, the purpose of my research project was to implement interventions to improve fluency and performance for my scholars in seventh grade. So, this is the breakdown of the demographics that are at the school, with African Americans being 61.6% of the school. That's the majority. And then, of course, we have some American Indian, two or more races, so biracial, multiracial, Hispanic, Latino, and then white being the second largest population with 21.8%. So I had three research questions during this research study. The first question says, how does daily time drills impact seventh grade students' math fact fluency and overall problem solving speed? Question number two, how does using gamified learning apps affect student engagement and retention of math facts in the seventh grade classroom? And then question number three, what are the effects of incorporating peer tutoring and collaborative learning strategies on the improvement of math fact fluency among seventh grade students? So we tied this to some literature that I had found, and the first thing that I noticed is that math fact fluency was important because it reduces the cognitive load. So oftentimes students have to overthink, or they're worried about the problems because they don't really know their math like that, and it just basically causes anxiety, it causes fear, and then they shut down from doing their math. So effective strategies in prior studies were time drills, so 1 minute multiplication and division tests, 1 minute adding and subtraction of two-digit and three-digit numbers. They have a couple of gamification sites like Kahoot, Blooket, things of that nature, and then of course peer tutoring, because it has been proven that student-to-student interactions and learning may show a little bit more success than student-teacher, and that can be found in the John Hattie book. Chapter number two was the overview of literature still, and then we saw that with economically disadvantaged or low income backgrounds, students have limited access to technology and learning materials. That does play a large role, because when you have a lack of resources, it makes it hard and creates additional barriers for developing fact fluency. So if they have the access to technology, the Wi-Fi, and more opportunities, they may be able to learn the facts, but because they don't, it limits them for their instruction. Also, I had an article by Krominga and Cotting, and it explored different intervention methods, differentiated instruction, things of that nature, to help bridge learning gaps and fact fluency. They also tied a lot of the gaps to COVID-19 pandemic, especially just because students were on technology, but they were not utilizing it to the best of their advantage. And this was tailored to a third grade class, but the literature still would stand for seventh graders because there were several similarities. So the participants in this study, even though the school has over 1,000 kids, we pulled 127 grade students. This was from one particular math teacher's class. I did not do several math teachers classes just because I wanted to maintain consistency. So I pulled all 120 students from the same teacher. This is a differentiated group, so I did think that it was good. We had ELs, IEPs, and then of course we had a spread of different races in there. Also, we have students that some played sports, some did not play sports, and things of that nature. So that helped out with just the different multiple backgrounds when it came to this. So for the approach, we did a mixed methods approach, both qualitative and quantitative. So what I mean by that is that we have um, already assessments. Those would be more like the qualitative, and then also I had a math fact fluency drill. Those are qualitative, and then quantitative would be we did a survey at the end for the students, and then also we had it compares some pre-test and post-test data and things of that nature, and also some student feedback from surveys and from interviews. So it was a really good approach. The daily time drills that we use for the interventions, those were done as bell ringers at the beginning of class, and then we had interactive games. Those are our gamification sites. Already, we did that. The already my path, that also counted as gamification. But Kahoot, Prodigy Learning, Reflex Math, once again, Blookit, GimKit, things like that. Those were the games that we used, and this was still on the same thing of the multiplying integers to try to improve their skills. And then we also did peer tutoring in small group on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 15 minutes, and for the students that needed extra intervention, they had one-on-one time with the teacher and small group with the teacher. This was done in a 6-week period, and then we did a pre-test at the beginning. We did the interventions for 6 weeks, and then we did a post-test at the end to collect scores, analyze, and then the survey as well. All right, so this was an example of what the multiplication and dividing drills would look like. Just quick, you get a minute, and it doesn't have to be in a particular order. I'd take it up, I'd give a score, and things of that nature. And so what we found, this is where I need to be. So on the pretest on the multiplication, we started out ranging about 28 out of 100 facts that we were getting correct in the study. After the interventions, the post-test 6 weeks later showed that it was an average of 61 out of 100. We were getting 61 out of 100 correct now, so that was an increase of 33 points. And then in iReady, there is evidence right here that originally there was nobody on grade level. Green means grade level. There was nobody on grade level. Most of the kids were in the red, which is anywhere between 2 or 3 or more grade levels below, and you can see that evidence right here. And then after the 6 week, and then also notice that we went from window 1 to window 2, and then in that 6 week intervention we jumped up. So now we have about 5 students that are either on or above grade level after the interventions, and then we have reduced some things. So if you look at the striped red area, which is 3 or more grade levels below, originally we started out with 52 students. Then after our interventions, we only had 47 students that were 3 or more grade levels below. So that's a win. Also, with 2 grade levels below, we started out with 30 kids, and now we have only 22. So there was the people that were in the 3 or more or 2 or more grade levels. They did move to the yellow group, which is the 1 grade level below, so that is progress. And then we had some of our yellows move to green, which is on grade level or above grade level, so that was always exciting to see. Questions that were asked on the survey include the following: what strategies work best to help you feel more confident in math? And how could I improve my methods to make you the most successful? So basically, I was just asking the students 2 questions. They filled it out on a Google form, and then we talked about it in a small interview. In conclusion, I discovered that students felt more confident and motivated after the study, and also they preferred peer tutoring because it promoted collaboration, especially when they were having to share their answers with other students as opposed to sharing answers with the teachers. They felt like that helped reduce the anxiety. Also, some takeaways that I got is that fluency improvements directly improved problem solving and I-ready scores. So not only did it improve just math fact fluency, they were able to improve just about everything. Also, the interventions work well when they are varied. So not just the same gamification site every day. So a different game, different methods for peer tutoring, maybe one day centers, one day get out, walk around the room. So like a carousel activity, things like that work best. So not keeping it the same. And students enjoy learning more, and it increased classroom participation and engagement. So also, I had realized in chapter 5 that fluency should be part of daily instruction. So this shouldn't just be we're doing integers, let's work on our fact fluency. Even if we were doing circles in 7th grade, even if we were doing statistics, fact fluency should still be a cyclic thing. Every day they should do it. And then making sure everything is engaging improves the motivation in the students. So if you combine fun activities with academic goals, the students will also maintain engagement while being motivated. Some of my limitations was just to expand the study to more classes and grades. So if this worked for 7th grade math, does this work for 6th grade math, 5th grade math, or does it even work for 7th grade reading, 7th grade social studies? Also, longer intervention periods would be ideal. So maybe moving it from 6 weeks to maybe a full 9 weeks and seeing, or also entire semester. So just the 18 weeks, first and second 9 weeks, check to see if that shows any improvement. Also, I think that if I kind of disaggregated the data and showed each individual strategy and analyzed it, I could see which one was the most successful. So, did the drill work best? Did the games work best? Did the tutoring work best? Things like that. Also, adding reflections. This time I participated in the study. I did the study, but if I was to do the study on other teachers, I would need some feedback to see how that worked and how we can improve it. Thank you all very much.